Lovable, unpredictable, programmable. It's The Sims.
Oh man, I love The Sims. It's fun being able to create your own house, create your own character, and ruining that character's life. Playing God has never felt so good. I don't care if people call me a filthy casual for enjoying it. It's still a fun game that I like to play whenever I'm bored. I never played The Sims when it first came out, but I know at the time it was revolutionary. And knowing how successful the game was, of course it was going to get sequels and spin-offs. We ended up getting stuff like The Sims 2, The Sims Bustin' Out, and a crap ton of expansion packs that were killing our wallets. It was all great until one of those ideas for a spin-off took a wrong turn precisely into a brick wall. And that spin-off was The Urbz Sims in the City. I don't understand what the thought process was behind this. Who the heck thought, you know what would be cool? What if we had The Sims and made them urban? That could have been a whole new expansion pack. It did not need its own game. So why didn't you remember it as much as the other Sims games? Well, because it was critically panned and it removed what made The Sims fun in the first place. Being creative. But that was the console version. Today I'm going to talk about the underappreciated handheld version that nobody knew existed. More specifically the GBA version, since that's the version I'm more familiar with. The game starts off like any other Sims game and you have to create your own character. Only this time you are extremely limited when it comes to almost everything. Well, what did you expect? It's a game on the Game Boy Advance. With graphics like this, what is there to show? I can change my shirt style, and my pants? Yo, that is new. After you're done choosing clothes, you're asked a bunch of questions in order to be forced into a rep group. I'll go into detail about these rep groups later. After you're done creating your character, you are greeted by a surprisingly stylistic introduction telling you where you are and who you are. In short, you live in a city called Minneapolis, not to be confused with that other dumping ground called Minneapolis. You're basically a janitor in a building called King Tower, and you have to do whatever it takes to fight for the respect of your fellow Richies. When the game automatically starts, you're told by your boss Chris to get off your lazy butt and to start working. Are you serious? I have to do work? Jesus, why can't I? Oh, okay, Jesus, I'll do it. Just please get rid of that terrible face. So once you play the minigame and finish taking a shower in bird poop, you are rightfully awarded with simoleons and... Oh. Chris tells me it's not my fault and I got fired because we got a new boss who's been laying people off. Well, everybody except for her, apparently. Some guy named... Oh, Jesus Christ. Daddy Big Bucks? Yeah, I'm not calling you that. He replaced our old boss, Mr. King, after he bought the building from him. Luckily, Chris pities me since I have nowhere else to go, and she tells me I can squat for a while as long as I do more work, such as fixing broken stuff and moving stuff. And by moving stuff, I mean putting the bed effortlessly into your pocket and then taking it out and then putting it back somewhere else. Apparently Sims are able to do this now, I guess. So now I gotta fix this TV and whoa, what the heck? Oh, it's Mr. King. Well, more specifically, it's a hologram of Mr. King, and with very fitting music in the background. He tells you that Daddy B tricked him into selling the building using his power of persuasion and his money. Mostly his money. After that weird event and after doing more chores, you end up talking to Chris and apparently she locked herself in the building. Which is somehow possible because buildings lock from the inside now? Wait, that's a fire hazard! Jesus, I have a lot of questions for Mr. King. So you try to get the keys from the office and bingo, they're there and oh crap. So you get caught by the big man himself and my character attempts to come up with lame excuses. It fails and he talks about his ultimate plan to rule Minneapolis and his plan to tear down all of the buildings and rebuild them as replicas. The only difference being that those rebuilt buildings will have tax booths that will charge you to go in and out of those buildings. Wait a minute, what? Why not just, I don't know, add the toll booths without having to tear down the buildings and risk losing a bunch of simoleons? Oh, never mind, it's okay because he's rich and you can obviously tell that by his background. Your plan sounds needlessly complicated and it seems like a waste of time. Heck, before I could even question if it was legal or not, he openly states that it is. Which brings up another question. Do the Sims have some sort of government that keeps control of everything? Do they have an established democracy? And if so, do they divide the power between the different groups? After explaining his crappy plan to me, He gets me arrested for trespassing and makes a mockery of me as I'm sent away. Great, now I'm only 6 minutes into the game and now I got fired and arrested. You know what, I should probably win an award. Oh yeah, did I mention that this was a Sims game? So here I am, in a jail cell, waiting for death to consume me like the worthless sim I am. While doing that, I also have to answer a bunch of questions for the detective. I also have to get him to like me so I can get out of here. Oddly enough, I'm successful and he lets me off on probation. Oh, if only this worked in real life. I can't leave the city, but the detective told me I could still earn money by playing a basketball minigame on the rooftop of the jailhouse, which apparently helped make enough money for me to buy a nearly dilapidated house. After those string of events occur, this is where the game truly begins. The town that you are in right now is called Urbania. There are 5 other areas in the game that you're able to walk around in. Those cities are Urbania, Sim Quarter, Glass City, the Bayou, and the Carnival. There's also an island called Paradise Island. But in the meantime, you're stuck in Urbania, which I guess is the Sim version of the hood, I think. I mean, in Urbania, you got plenty of stuff to do. You have tons of areas you can visit, like the pizza shop, store, hospital, and 2 empty houses. You also got that poor lady that sells stuff for cheap, but I don't think that really counts. But this begs another question. Where does everyone live? Do they live on the streets? Do they even go to sleep? In order to progress, you have to do missions for other people, and in order to do that, you have to talk to people in the town. Most of them will just have you doing their chores for them, and others will beg for money. Why do I have to keep giving you people money? Haven't you ever heard of a loan or a job? Everyone seems so lazy because they can't seem to do anything themselves. While you're doing that, of course you're going to need to find a way to earn simoleons. And you do that by playing mini games that are scattered across the city. Most of the minigames are really easy to play, which makes earning money less of a chore. The one that I found myself playing over and over again was the basketball minigame because of how easy it is to win. I mean, look at this, how could you not miss? You have other games like Dr. Max Stat, which barely gives me enough money to scrape out on my rent, and that one at the pizza parlor where for some unknown reasons people are throwing tomatoes at me even though they are laughing at my jokes. Oh yeah, and my sim can also do this. Cool, right? There were also many other mini-games, but those didn't come until you unlock the blocked areas of the game. You're also able to earn a promotion in these mini-games by doing extracurricular activities, by exercising, working on your mechanical skill, cooking, and researching, which I thought was pretty cool because not only does it give you the opportunity to earn more money in the mini-games, but it also makes some of the mini-games more challenging. That's not the only benefit of improving your skills. It also makes it easier to do stuff like cooking. That way you have less of a chance of burning your food and setting your stove on fire. If you upgrade your mechanical skill, you have less of a chance of getting electrocuted and having a genie laugh at your demise. Wait, what? Wait, who is this? Wait, why is there a genie in a Sims game? Did I do something to him? Why is he laughing at my death? Heck, this even happens if you don't fill your hunger bar up in time. I looked all over the internet to see who this genie is and I still get nothing. Who is this? Anyway, among most of the things this game features, the funnest and probably the most important of any Sims game is decorating your house with useless furniture. But since I'm poor, the only furniture that I have is from the unfinished penthouse and this crappy TV that cost me about 50 simoleons. But later on in the game, you can splurge on completely useless but awesome stuff from different stores. Heck, you can even shop online if you don't feel like going out. Most of the stuff that you will buy will make the game easier. Wait, you can even get robbed in this game? Not only that, but out of anything they could have stolen, they decided to steal the toilet. Why? And since there is only one store in this godforsaken town, there is limited space for the stuff that they are selling. So if you go to the store looking for a toilet and they don't have one, have fun coming back tomorrow, only to go and find out that they still don't have it. And the cycle goes on and on and on. I had to keep going to the pizza parlor in order to use the bathroom, which was a pain. Oh, and if you need to use it and they're still closed, good luck. It took me halfway through the game just to get a toilet. Ignoring the bathroom problem, one of the other complaints that I had about this game was that your character constantly needed to do things. Unlike in a regular Sims game where it takes a good while before your hunger bar or bladder bar fully depletes. In this game, it only takes a good 2 seconds for your character to whine about being hungry or not watching enough television. It basically goes like this. Want to earn money by playing this minigame? Well, sorry, you can't do that. You have to take a shower. Want to save monopolists from a power-hungry dictator that would stop at nothing to fulfill his evil deeds? Sorry, can't do that, because you know, it's more important to watch TV than save the town. Apparently watching TV is extremely important in this game. Thank God Zizzles exists, because if it weren't for these, the game would be a nightmare to complete. Zizzles, or Zizzle beads, are beads that make the game easier. They are basically cheats. You can redeem them at Club Zizzle, a hidden club that you can gain access to once you finish a certain quest for Crystal, a very cool and hip chick who is down with the times. Oh yeah, let's talk about the characters in this game. In this game, you can have conversations unlike any other Sims game. Instead of just watching your Sims talk Simlish the whole time and hoping they don't piss off the other Sim, you're able to choose from a list of exciting topics such as the weather, the river, and sports. Yay. Character interactions are fun at first, but then over time they start to grow old since you will be pressing the same conversation topics just to get them to like you. Be careful though, because talk about something that they don't like and their happiness meter will go down, and so will your self-esteem. If you're able to make them happy enough, smiley faces will show up in the background, and they will even greet you if you get close enough. Something similar happens when they are angry though. Piss them off and they will yell at you and even tell you straight up that they don't like you. You can also flirt with Sims of the opposite gender. You can flirt with them, but it doesn't really do much. Once they like you, all you can really do is hug or kiss them. In fact, you could do this with multiple girls. You could basically cheat on every single girl in the game and they wouldn't even care. You could be the ultimate player. But since this is a kid-friendly game, there is no option to woohoo, which sucks. Most of the characters in this game have their own traits and are pretty interesting, while some of them are just blatant stereotypes. What am I talking about? Almost all of them are blatant stereotypes. You got the urban black guy that likes basketball, the preppy rich white chick, a nerd, and many more. I found it interesting that the more you talk to these characters, the more you gain their trust and make them happy. If you manage to get their positivity meter to at least 75, they will give you Zizzle beads. Just like you, some characters are part of rep groups. There are 4 rep groups: the Richies, the Nerdies, the Streeties, and the Artsies. They're sort of like gangs, but not really. The Richies are a bunch of rich people, the Streeties are the gangsta group, and the Nerdies/Artsies are basically what you think they are. I wanted to be part of the Artsies because, let's be honest, I am an incredible artist. This begs the question though, is there any bad blood between these groups? Is there a Bloods to anyone's Crips? I ask this because in one of the missions, you're told to sell tickets to everyone except the Nerdies. Is Cannonball Coleman Nerdist? On the other hand, another character mentioned there being other groups in the past that mysteriously disappeared or left town. Was there some kind of rep group war where the last remaining ones are the survivors of that war? Or maybe I'm taking this out of proportion again. Nah, I'm always right. The quests for this game are very weird. In one of the quests, you have to impersonate the deceased brother of a captain who now owns a casino and what used to be a ship in order to get him to stop selling it to Daddy Big Bucks. Oh man, I love The Sims. Oh, and if you thought that was weird, when you finish the mission, you confront Big Bucks and he attempts to murder you by violently throwing you into the river. Don't you just love The Sims? So then you end up at the bayou and one of the guys that lives there accuses you of being a vampire and you have to earn his trust back in order to get back home. And there really is a vampire, but it scared the crap out of me, and apparently you were able to defeat him with a light, which was very hard to find, by the way. So I kill him, and then there's this lizard guy that also lives in the cave. And I thought, what the heck, what are you doing here? Are they roommates with the vampire or something? So I get part of the locket that used to belong to Boo and his brother, which for some reason the lizard man has, but oh no, that's just another missing piece. So I travel around the bayou trying to avoid man-eating plants, which for some reason exists because Daddy Big Bucks dumped nuclear waste there, which explains the mutated plants and 3-eyed golden frogs, which by the way the police officer takes and gives you money for, which doesn't make any sense because if I tried doing that in real life, it would not work out. You find the other piece of the locket, but for some unknown crazy reason, a red man in pajamas who plays the violin, who only shows up at the stroke of midnight, has it, and in order to get that piece, you have to beat him in a violin battle, and on top of that, he even gives you money for it. Where did you get that money from? Did you rob a bank? Anyway, you do all of that, and Boo apologizes and finally lets you off the bayou, only to come back and find out that Daddy Big Bucks has outlawed running due to some unknown reason. And that's when you start the quest to abolish that law. Oh, did I mention this was a Sims game? Now let's talk about the main antagonist of the game, Daddy B. the big man himself. Just like any other mustache twirling villain, the reason he is doing all of these things is because he wants money. Wait, aren't you already rich? Your last name is Big Bucks. But money isn't the only thing this man is after. He's also after something that every dictator strives for the most: power. Yes, I said it. Daddy Big Bucks is the modern day tyrant. He's using capitalism to his advantage and is doing everything in his power to own everything in Monopolis. Then he will have the whole government under his influence. Then it just won't be Monopolis. Then it'll be the whole Sim state. Then the whole Sim country. And then the world. This is why this monster needs to be stopped. He's so dedicated to his plan that he even uses a time machine to go back in time in order to own the land before anyone else. You end up going back in time and stop him from ever doing it though, ending his corrupt tirade. The game ends and you are the hero that saves everyone, the great hero of Monopolis. Great. What do I do now? Oh sweet, I could still keep pimping up my penthouse, thank God. It might be the nostalgia talking, but I think this game was pretty good. I used to play this a lot when I was younger, and I had a blast playing it whenever I was on a road trip with nothing else to do. I think there's something about a handheld game that makes it more fun to play. With a console, you have to dedicate time and other things in order to play it, while with a handheld, you can just take it anywhere. The characters and writing were silly, and the story itself was sometimes self-aware and ridiculous, but I thought it was decent. Not fantastic or anything, but decent. I could see why other people wouldn't like this game though. I also really enjoyed the music in the game as well. In fact, sometimes I come back to listen to it just for a nostalgia wave to hit me. The music was produced by Ian Stalker, not a very well-known artist, but he's done the soundtracks to a lot of handheld games like the video game version of Robots, which surprisingly has a beautiful soundtrack. Heck, he even has spare time to make his own games, which I think you should also check out. While I do enjoy this game, I tend to forget there is even a console version of this. And by the looks of it, it doesn't look that good. For some reason, everybody wants to forget it, and just by taking a peek at it, I don't blame them. But I'll dig into that and save that for a future video.